What's going on, partners? Really excited to make this video. It is the first video that is requested by the public. Let's give this guy a like here. Little love, show a little love. And he wants a video on Prop 36. Luckily for you, I'm just not a pretty face hiding behind a screen. I know a little bit about Prop 36. But before we can even discuss Prop 36, we would have to learn about Prop 47. But if we really want to understand the root of the problems with both of these propositions, we have to go even further to 1971 when President Richard Nixon declared the war on drugs. These changes to federal laws had unintended consequences, and by the mid-70s, the prison population started increasing. As prison conditions worsened, prisoners in California wrote a letter. The letter was written by two groups of inmates. In the letter, they congratulate Dymally for his win. They also tell him that it seems that his values seem to meet their values and that he has a genuine concern. I want to bring your attention to this part of the letter here. We selected you because we feel that you are one of the few people of the incoming administration who understands and is concerned with our predicament. This letter was very strategic on who it went out to. They strategically selected Dymally to receive this letter to get help. Listen to this. And it's going to be talking about 11 needs, as they call them. And in reality, they are 11 very polite demands that these two organizations are asking for. It reads, "We are aware that some of them may appear radical because they are ramifications that expand far beyond the walls of Folsom Prison to the very heart of our social, economic, and political system." These guys are absolutely right. The changes that need to happen can't just happen inside of the prisons, inside of the detention centers. They are social problems, economic problems, and political problems. You really have to study all three subjects to really get to the core problems of these propositions of this failing system. So these guys understand it. And if you read, I just encourage you guys to read this letter to give you an insight of the intelligence of the inmates that were writing these documents. These inmates are so intelligent that they have outplayed our court system, our justice system, our government system. I have seen them outsmart our system, and they just play games with us like you guys have no idea. It is crazy how they use our own policies against us. Now, who was Dymally? Dymally was the 41st Lieutenant Governor of California, and he served under Jerry Brown. He was an educator and a social activist. Let's hear a little bit about him.
Dymally was an educator. He was an advocate for so many, working class, people of color, undocumented students as well. So he was a politician, but, our focus of this exhibit and what Azalea and I did for the last year was really to just support and to highlight what he did as an educator, an advocate, and an abolitionist.
Dymally was an abolitionist. He believed on getting rid of the prison system, so it benefited these inmates to write to him directly to start dismantling our prison system strategically.
Putting this virtual exhibit really came into with the current times, and the exhibit also brings awareness to Dymally and his work and how current and relevant it is in today's times, and to bring that to students and the community.
I can add to that. One of the things that we wanted to focus on with this exhibit was his work.
So they've created this exhibit for Dymally, like if he was such a great lieutenant governor, and like if the policies that he implemented and the changes that took place within prison were further good. But let me ask you this, at present time, are prisons any safer? Are they better? Because I can 100% tell you that in my personal experience, prisons, detention centers have gotten worse. Let's go back to the demands. These are the 11 inmate demands. The first one, that Black and Chicanos be involved in committees. Well, that's something that we still do till present day. Here is the Board of State and Community Corrections, also known as the BSCC. We have Miss Nora, a Hispanic woman who is formerly incarcerated. We have a few gentlemen of color. Very ethnically diverse is the board. Look at that. And it's not just that board. Here we got the LA Probation Oversight Commission. They got Mr. Ship here. Mr. Ship is a systematically impacted youth. In other words, he was incarcerated and he's on the board. We got Miss Jackson. She has personal experience within the justice system, being incarcerated herself as a juvenile. She's on the board. Not to mention that we have the Mexican mafia mom, Miss Dolores Canales, who is the mom of a Mexican mafia member who served 20 years in federal prison and recently married a convicted murderer. She's on the board. So let me ask you, did that make our prison systems better? Black and Chicano ethics studies. There's all kinds of studies now. Economics, government, cooking, culinary, child development. Has that made our system better? Day pass for convicts to enroll in education. Yeah, there's all kinds of education programs that you can do now. Realistic Black movies and educational films. All right, they have all that. I worked in a facility a couple years ago where they rioted because they didn't have BET. Conjugal visits. Yes, we offer conjugal visits. California is one out of only 4 states that offer conjugal visits. Ironically, all 4 states have horrible prison systems. That women be allowed to work inside Folsom Prison. Well, they opened it up. Women can work in any prison now. And now we have stuff like this that can happen. Sexual assaults on female officers or female staff by male inmates. Obviously, that did not make our prisons better. Allow the prison union to come in and organize. Yeah, the prison union went in there. They organized. There's all kinds of commissions and programs that have been organized now. So I ask you now, do you think any of the policies that Dymally implemented and changes worked? Yet we're going to create a digital museum for him? What sense does that make? But let's fast forward now. Now it's 2009 and there is overcrowding in the prisons and organized gangs have taken over. They start putting these guys in isolation in the SHU in Pelican Bay. This is where Todd Ashker and Danny Terrell come in and file a lawsuit against California for inhumane treatment. And nothing really happens from 2009 to 2011. They're just kind of sitting around waiting and getting prepared. And they're getting prepared because there's already rumors that there's going to be a change in politics. Now, remember I told you that Mandalay served under Jerry Brown as lieutenant governor? Well, Jerry Brown gets reelected in 2011, which is when the Pelican Bay hunger strikes begin and the movement to strategically disrupt the Department of Correction and the entire state's prison system takes effect. And in 2012, inmates at Pelican Bay try the same tactics as the Concerned Blacks in 1974, and they write a letter to Governor Brown. Here's where we discover that in 2010, inmates had been organizing themselves to fight the policies of the California Department of Corrections. The hunger strikes continue and they gain media attention. And after years of litigation, the court orders the state of California to decrease its inmate population. Listen to this.
And I would agree with the senator that the 81.1 million, I think it is, that the governor wants to set aside for this rehabilitation, I think that's not enough. Because this issue of overcrowding, it doesn't seem that it's going away anytime soon. We may be able to get the numbers down, and we will get the numbers down because the court said we have to, but we'll get the numbers down. But then,
Did you hear that? We will get the numbers down because the court said we have to. They were court ordered. It's not because the politicians had good intentions. It's not because the politicians were doing it because it was the right thing to do for public safety. They were being court ordered. The inmates were able to unify together, use our court system, not only to get out of solitary confinement, but to get out of prison itself. And that takes a lot of smarts and a lot of dedication. And I am telling you right now that our government, our agencies, and our leadership are undermining the intelligence these criminal organizations operate under. And since they were court orders, what the politicians did, devised plans to decrease the population. Unfortunately, when they did this, they didn't take into account public safety. They had an ultimate goal, an agenda, an order to bring down the population. How did they do it? By decriminalizing California. And this is the real reason why Proposition 47 was created, to bring down the inmate population by decriminalizing California and reducing the sentencing or punishment for drug possession, petty theft, shoplifting, which resulted in the increase in the dash and grabs all over California. Like and subscribe and stay tuned for the next video on Proposition 47 and its real objectives, its real agendas. For now, partners, that's all I got. Remember to hold the line and let's hold them accountable.